Deep in the rolling hills and dense forests of the Ozarks lies a story that has puzzled people for more than a century. It is a tale of darkness, a local legend that refuses to fade away, known as the Weller case. It all began with a man named Thomas Weller, whose shocking crimes in the late 1800s left a permanent scar on the community. His actions were so terrible, so beyond understanding, that people struggled to find a reason. How could a seemingly ordinary person commit such atrocities? It was a question that echoed through the quiet valleys, a question that had no simple answer. The search for that answer would lead investigators and storytellers down a long and winding path. For years, experts tried to piece together the puzzle of Thomas Weller. In the 1960s, a researcher named Foster looked at everything he could find about the case. He suggested that maybe it was a perfect storm of bad things coming together at once. Perhaps Thomas was born with something different in his mind, or maybe his difficult life and family troubles pushed him over the edge. But even with all these ideas, Foster admitted there was something missing. He called it an irreducible element of mystery, a part of the story that just couldn't be explained away. The horror of Weller's deeds seemed too great for any normal explanation, leaving a void where logic should have been. The crimes themselves were a dark chapter in the region's history. They were brutal and they seemed to come from a place of pure malice. But what truly frightened people was the lack of a clear motive. There was no robbery, no obvious reason for the violence. It was as if a shadow had fallen over that small corner of the Ozarks, a shadow that emanated from the Weller family property. The case became a cautionary tale, a story told to remind folks that darkness can sometimes appear where you least expect it. And as the years passed, the facts of the case began to tangle with local folklore, creating a legend that was part crime, part ghost story. This wasn't just a story about one man though. The more people looked, the more it seemed that the story of Thomas Weller was tied to the land itself and to the family that lived on it. Was there something in the environment, something unique to that isolated patch of woods, that could influence a person's mind? Or was it something passed down through generations, a darkness that lived within the Weller family? These questions lingered in the air, thick as the morning fog on an Ozark mountain. The community wanted answers, but the case offered only more questions, each one deeper and more disturbing than the last. As time went on, the official story of Thomas Weller was not the only one being told. Local people had their own tales, whispers passed down from generation to generation. A book published in 1978, called Shadows in the Ozarks, collected many of these oral histories. According to these stories, the strangeness on the Weller property didn't start with Thomas. People remembered his father, Edwin Weller, saying odd things. He claimed that the trees on his land spoke to him, that they whispered secrets only he could hear. These were not the ramblings of a simple old man. They were seen as the first signs of a deep and unsettling connection between the Wellers and their land. The strange tales didn't stop with talking trees. After the crimes, when people finally ventured into the family's cellar, they found things that made no sense. There were strange carvings, shaped like tangled roots, etched into the wooden beams. Even more peculiar were the plant specimens found stored away. They were unlike any known local plants, with twisted forms and unusual colors. These discoveries fueled the local legends, suggesting that the Wellers were involved in something that was not just criminal, but unnatural. The property itself began to develop a reputation as a place to be avoided, a place where the normal rules of the world did not seem to apply. The mystery deepened when old records were brought to light. In 1983, letters from 1894 between the doctor who performed the autopsy on Thomas Weller, a Dr. Hargrove, and a brain specialist named Dr. Victor Brandt were discovered. Dr. Brandt wrote about something truly impossible. He had examined tissue samples from Thomas Weller's brain and found unclassifiable, root-like structures growing inside. More shocking still, he claimed these structures seemed to react to stimuli, as if they were alive, even after being removed from the body. He called the finding biologically impossible and, in a fit of fear or confusion, destroyed the samples and warned Dr. Hargrove to stop looking. After this bizarre correspondence, Dr. Hargrove's life took a sharp turn. He became a recluse, shying away from his medical practice and the community. He dedicated the rest of his life to his own private research. But he wasn't studying medicine anymore. Instead, he became obsessed with the local plant life of the Ozarks, especially plants that might have effects on the human mind. It was as if he too believed the answer to the Weller mystery was not hidden in the heart of a man, but in the soil and roots of the forest itself. His obsession only added another layer to the growing legend of the haunted Weller property. Decades later, in the 1980s, scientists began to take a new look at the Weller case, armed with modern technology and theories. In 1985, a researcher named Dr. Rachel Morrison proposed that maybe the environment in very isolated places like the Ozarks could hold the key. She theorized that certain natural elements in the soil or plants could trigger mental health problems that were already hidden in a person's mind. It was an idea that connected the scientific world with the old, local whispers. Could the stories of talking trees and strange behavior be explained not by ghosts, but by biology? The theory was intriguing enough to launch a brand new investigation. A year later, in 1986, a team of scientists, including Dr. Morrison and a botanist named Dr. Alan Sumner, went directly to the source, the former Weller property. They took samples of the soil and the plants, hoping to find a clue. And they did. The team discovered that the soil had very high levels of ergot alkaloids, natural chemicals that are known to cause psychosis and hallucinations. But that wasn't all. They also found a brand new species of fungus growing on the trees. This fungus produced strange compounds that were similar to psychedelic drugs, things that could profoundly alter a person's perception of reality. The most fascinating discovery was where these strange substances were found. The team mapped out the concentrations of the fungus and the soil chemicals, and they found an epicenter. The levels were highest in one specific spot on the property. When they checked the old case files, they realized this spot was the exact location where the remains of one of Thomas Weller's victims, a figure known in the lore as the Elder Dweller, had been discovered. It was a chilling coincidence, a scientific finding that seemed to point directly back to the darkest parts of the Weller legend. It was as if the land itself held a memory of the violence. Just as the research was getting interesting, it came to a sudden halt. A pharmaceutical company learned about the newly discovered compounds and showed interest in their potential uses. But then, in 1988, local authorities suddenly revoked the research team's permit to work on the property. No clear reason was given. The scientists were forced to pack up their equipment and leave, their work unfinished. The promising scientific explanation for the Weller mystery was cut short, and the land was once again left to its secrets. The door to understanding had been opened, just a crack, and then slammed shut. For a few years, the Weller property was quiet again, but the strangeness was not gone for good. In the fall of 1992, a new series of baffling incidents began to occur in the area. Hikers and visitors started reporting bizarre experiences near the old Weller land. They spoke of suddenly feeling lost and disoriented on familiar trails. Some experienced vivid hallucinations, seeing things that weren't there. Others reported missing time, where hours would pass by in what felt like only a few minutes. These modern accounts sounded eerily similar to the old stories, suggesting that whatever haunted that patch of woods was still active, still present. The events of 1992 reached a crisis point on October 17th. A park ranger named David Keller was sent to investigate the growing number of reports from hikers. He was an experienced ranger who knew the area well, but that day, he vanished without a trace. Search parties combed the woods for him, but found nothing. It was as if the forest had simply swallowed him whole. Then, 16 days later, on November 2nd, Ranger Keller reappeared. He was found wandering near a road, confused, dehydrated, and with no clear memory of where he had been or what had happened to him. His memory of those 16 days was a blur of fragmented images and feelings. The disappearance and reappearance of Ranger Keller brought the Weller mystery crashing into the modern era. What happened to him? Was he exposed to the same strange fungi and soil chemicals that the scientists had found years earlier? Did he simply get lost, or was something more sinister at play? The incident proved that the strange phenomena were not just stories from a bygone era. They were a very real and present danger. The authorities never offered a public explanation, and the event only deepened the enigma surrounding the former Weller property, adding another chapter to its dark and complicated history. And so, the Weller case remains an unsolved puzzle. Science offered a possible answer, pointing to powerful, mind-altering substances in the very ground. Yet, the research was stopped, and the questions continue to multiply. Were Thomas Weller's crimes the result of a sick mind, a toxic environment, or something else entirely? What did the old doctor find in Weller's brain tissue? And what happened to Ranger Keller in those 16 lost days? Today, On November 28, 2025, the story is a powerful reminder that even with all our knowledge, some places hold their secrets tight. The truth, it seems, can be harder to find than any lost trail, and the whispers in the Ozark woods have not yet fallen silent.